The Automobile Association of South Africa has launched a petition to compel government to review its fuel pricing model. This as economists predict another huge increase in the price of fuel in February. The increase has been attributed to higher oil prices, with Brent Crude hitting $87.5 recently. Automobile Association spokesperson Layton Beard explains the petition with us now this afternoon. Layton, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Perhaps let's start here with how fuel prices are determined in the country.
Hi, Dudu. Well, the two main factors that influence the fuel price locally are obviously the rand-US dollar exchange rate and, as you mentioned in your intro, international oil prices. And the averages of the rand against the US dollar over a period of a month, as well as the average oil price of a month, are taken into consideration when determining how the fuel price is going to fluctuate either up or down. But very importantly, 35 to 40% of every litre of fuel goes towards taxes in South Africa, and there are a number of different taxes that are added onto the fuel price. Our view as the AA has always been that we need to review all the components that go into the fuel price. In other words, the money that's charged to buy the fuel, the transport costs, the wharfage costs, the storage costs, all of the associated costs as well as the levies, with a view to understanding whether all of these costs are still appropriate for the fuel price locally, or whether there's some wiggle room in terms of how we can mitigate against rising fuel costs. So we are not of the view that there's a predetermined outcome. We're not saying that this audit is going to necessarily result in a massive decrease, if any, but just in terms of confidence from consumers that the fuel price is calculated correctly and that all the components are audited correctly, our view is there is nothing to lose in doing of the fuel price, understanding all of these components in an open way so that all consumers can understand them better, and then determine whether there is any wiggle room in that. And that's the reason why we are asking for the fuel price to be reviewed.
There's a fascinating article in Business Live, and it says, according to global fuel prices, South Africa's petrol price is not astronomically high compared to most countries, especially on the continent. Any idea how we're faring?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the fuel price locally, certainly in terms of the cost that we pay, we do pay less than, say, countries like Morocco or Zimbabwe, as an example. But we pay a lot more than countries such as Botswana, Eswatini, Namibia, countries who we supply with fuel. And the reason, obviously, is that those countries don't add taxes and we add taxes to our fuel price, which makes our price a lot higher. But I think a comparison is a little bit difficult in the sense that we need to look at South Africa as a country with a unique situation in terms of our economy and in terms of, the basic income of many millions of South Africans. Our view has always been, let's make it as equitable as possible. Let's review the fuel price. Let's see if there's any space within that fuel price where we can actually, do calculations that mitigate against these rising costs, and if any, then take them out. Our view has always been, let's work towards a situation where the consumer benefits most from a fuel price rather than just having it there that goes up and down every month. And I think that's the overriding motivation that the AA has. We're a consumer organization, and we want consumers to benefit most from a fuel price. And obviously, if there's a way that fuel price can be reduced, that's something that we'd like to see happen.
Just on that, right, being a consumer organization, you also argue that another major issue is road safety and its associated costs. This petition, who is your call to? Who are you calling on to join this move?
So we obviously would like every South African to visit our website at www.aa.co.za to sign the petition to support our campaign to have the fuel price reviewed, and other campaigns that we have, all obviously geared to ensuring the best for the consumer. At the end of the day, we would like, when the Minister of Finance delivers his budget speech in Parliament on the 23rd of February, to consider the fact that a fuel review may be necessary. We don't see any reason why it can't be done. We know, for instance, that the Minister of Finance in that budget speech announces changes to the fuel levies. We would obviously not like to see any movement to those fuel levies until a review is done. So one of the big constituencies we'd like to see heed our call is obviously the government in the form of the Ministry of Finance. But You make a very valid point about road safety. Road crashes and road fatalities cost our economy in the region of about 190 billion rand a year. And that's not a figure that the AA has come up with. That's a figure directly from government. They did that calculation and they determined that road crashes and fatalities cost our economy 190 billion rand a year. We think more needs to be done in terms of road safety in South Africa. More needs to be done to promote safer vehicles and safer drivers, more education. We need better law enforcement. There's a number of different things that need to happen in terms of road safety. The Road Accident Fund needs to be streamlined and made more efficient. So it's a combination of different factors that come together in terms of dealing better with the fuel price. And, when we talk about road safety, we are perplexed by the fact, for instance, Dudu, that the Road Traffic Management Corporation had a surplus of around 260 million rand in its 2020 budget. They're the lead agency responsible for road safety in South Africa, yet they had this enormous, expense or over budget in their budget in 2020 that could have been used to deal better with road safety and obviously then deal more effectively with those associated costs. So for us, it's a combination of different factors that need to come together, road safety being a very critical component of that.
Layton, a happy Sunday to you, and thank you very much for sharing those details with us. Layton Beard is the spokesperson for the Automobile Association.